in verse 32, we read this. I do not have time to tell about Gideon, Barak, Samson and Jephthah, about David and Samuel and the prophets, so there's lots of them, who through faith conquered kingdoms, administered justice and gained what was promised, who shut the mouths of lions, quenched the fury of the flames and escaped the edge of the sword, whose weakness was turned to strength, and who became powerful in battle and routed foreign armies. Women received back their dead, raised to life again. There were others who were tortured, refusing to be released so that they might gain an even better resurrection. Some faced jeers and flogging, and even chains and imprisonment. They were put to death by stoning. They were sawn in two. They were killed by the sword. They went about in sheepskins and goatskins, destitute, persecuted, and ill-treated. The world was not worthy of them. They wandered in deserts and mountains, living in caves and in holes in the ground. And so we've got these stories of incredible faith that saw incredible outcomes. But the writer to the Hebrews wants us to know that that's not the reality for everyone. That actually many of these people, faith doesn't guarantee a certain outcome. And faith is certainly not a stepping stone to an easy life. Some of these stories teach us to keep holding on in faith until we see the outcome. And some of them encourage us to keep the faith even when we don't see the outcome that we're hoping for. Again, let me say, faith is not denial. Faith includes grief, struggles, questions, and endurance. And so why? Why could all these people endure those terrible things that we heard about? Why could they endure the waiting, the opposition, the loss and the suffering? Well, because they had faith that gave them a perspective beyond this life. You see, I'm moving through this chapter quickly, and I do encourage you to read it later at home. At verse 39, this chapter of Hebrews sort of zooms out, and it gives us that bigger perspective, an eternal perspective. Verses 39 and 40 say, all these were commended for their faith, yet none of them received what had been promised, since God had planned something better for us, so that only together with us would they be made perfect. A couple of years ago, Johnny and I lost another friend of ours. He had brain cancer, and we went to visit him shortly before he died. And like lots of people had done, we prayed for him to be healed. And then we asked him a question. We said, if you die, would you like us to come and try to raise you from the dead? And he said, without a moment's hesitation, absolutely not, guys. I am going to be with Jesus. He did not want us trying to extend life on earth. And it's not about saying that makes it okay, but it was beautiful to see that our friend had a perspective that was rooted in Jesus. He wasn't denying his pain, he was embracing the hope. That didn't change our reality. We were desperately sad to lose our friend. We are still sad for his family. Faith isn't about minimizing the grief or the reality of being the ones who are still here on earth, but it is about refusing to let death have the final word. It's not easy to live on earth with this eternal perspective, especially when we have lost somebody that we love. But faith gives us a perspective beyond what we can see, because faith says earth is not the end game. We are living towards an eternal reality. So let me read just a few verses from the next chapter of Hebrews. So this is Hebrews chapter 12. And after the writer has reminded us of all of these faithful men and women and the example they set, he then says this. Therefore, since we are surrounded by such a great cloud of witnesses, let us throw off everything that hinders and the sin that so easily entangles, and let us run with perseverance the race marked out for us, fixing our eyes on Jesus, the pioneer and the perfecter of our faith. For the joy that was set before him, he endured the cross, scorning its shame. And he sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Consider him who endured such opposition from sinners, so that you will not grow weary and lose heart. There are many examples for us in the Bible, that great cloud of witnesses, but Jesus is the best example of all. Jesus was in his early 30s when he was sent to die. He was tortured. He was mocked. He died a slow and painful death. And if nothing else, this is for the moment for me where I say God does know. He knows. He's not a stranger to suffering. He's not a stranger to grief. Jesus, as he approached his death, he prayed to the Father and he said, God, if you're willing, take this suffering away from me. He didn't relish it. He asked to be released from it. And then he trusted the Father and his prayer ended, not my will, but your will be done. The cross looked like a defeat, but we also know the bigger story. We know it became the place of victory. We sang this morning because of the cross and because of Jesus' resurrection. Death, where is your sting? And so as we process our own suffering and our own loss, our faith can bring us to Jesus. He is not standing outside. He's not trying to explain it away. He meets us right where we are as one who is familiar with suffering and can show us how to endure so that we will not grow weary and lose heart. I have never run a marathon, but I like to mention as often as possible that I have rowed one. So I know what it is to be in a long race. I know that there are times where you feel energized and excited by the challenge ahead of you. I know that there are times when it feels like it's taken forever and you'll never reach the end. And there are times when you really are not sure if you can keep going. And so this picture of run the race marked out for us with perseverance. What we need to remember is God is not asking us to run in our own strength. He's asking us to fix our eyes on Jesus, who shows us how to endure, who gives us strength to keep going, who is the pioneer and the perfecter of faith. So faith this year, it might look like showing up, even though we don't really feel like it. It might look like praying really honest prayers, even when we don't have the answers. And the Bible is full of prayers like, how long, God? How long until you're going to sort this out? So we can be honest. Faith this year might look like serving others, and it might look like letting them serve and comfort us. And faith this year might look like just putting one foot in front of the other as we stay in the race and trusting Jesus in all of it. Sometimes faith looks like victory and breakthrough. It absolutely does. We're a Vineyard Church. We have a theology of healing. We have a theology of resurrection. But we believe in the now and the not yet. And so sometimes faith looks like endurance in that not yet, as we wait to see, where will this go? What will God do? We're at the start of a new year. And I was struck as I was on Facebook, as I'm middle-aged, at the end of 2025. A few of my friends posted a New Year status. And what struck me was I didn't see a single one that said, this year was just awesome. Everybody's hinted at some kind of struggle, lots of things that I don't know about. Every status I saw showed that people through the year had had some good times, but had also endured some really hard times. And that is the reality of a new year. But whatever this year may hold for us, Jesus shows us we don't have to choose faith in spite of our circumstances. We can choose faith right in the midst of them. And so here we are. It's not the happy, jolly New Year message that I might have liked to preach this morning. But let's not try to pretend that everything is okay. Let's not give each other empty platitudes. Let's not try to pretend that faith exempts us from suffering and loss. It doesn't. But let's take encouragement from Hebrews. Let's keep running the race. Let's endure faithfully. Let's fix our eyes on Jesus. He will show us how, and he will give us the strength. So may God give us faith to praise him on the good days, to persevere through suffering, and to grow into true hope.